Where did Merlin go?
To the party.
How dare he?
I know, right? Right as we were about to do things.
Only I am allowed to destroy narrative.
Meredith?
Destroy a narrative, I said.
Oh, I thought we were talking about Dragon Age 2 and I was going to get excited.
Uh,
Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Emma, and we are playing the vampire game. So, we actually ended up having to skip one of our recordings. We made an episode. It was mostly dice rolls, so you didn't really miss much. Um, and we were actually using the system incorrectly, so the fact that my recording failed was kind of fortuitous. I'll go over what info we did glean from that because we're going to keep the information at least. Um, and then what happened the time before that, so we've got a good, healthy recap. Okay, so for episode 3, that was the the dominatrix episode. So we figured out the receipts were a no-go when we got into Freddy's bar, but we did also manage to break into the kitchen. So Lamont took an exceptional failure, and the bar owner actually came back early, and he ended up being an ex-thug and biker enforcer. So Augustine and Kara hide in the stairwell, which is kind of up and behind the kitchen. And she ends up breaking a picture to attract more attention.
I
Lamont.
was trying to find a key.
I think we had a habit of taking failures that game. So Lamont ducks outside as the biker people start to enter and sheds his outer clothing so he can try to blend in and seem like he kind of wasn't there. So he heads around front. Belle ends up staying in the main area and charms the incoming biker owner and his two friends, which is the actual ability is all confidant. And she actually, I got 10 successes on that roll. And so she ends up mesmerizing, which is a higher tier spell, the big guy, and accidentally catching Lamont in that as well when he comes around the front. So Kara and Augustine, they do manage to break up into the upper floor. It turns out to be Freddy's bedroom. There's some sweet, sweet stuff on his computer as far as camera surveillance. And so we get to find out some more about our voodoo vampire guy. Belle ends up taking care of the guys downstairs. We get some information, and everybody gets to go home unscathed. So as far as the information is concerned, we learned that our voodoo vampire's name is Edmund Fairway. He drives a motorcycle. He's a motorcycle dude, part of a motorcycle gang. He has only been in the area for 2 months. Belle did give her number to Freddy, who is now somewhat of an informant, at least for a little bit, while he's under this mesmerize. So he's going to call her when he next sees Edmund. The biker gang is called the Wolfhead Riders, and Freddy has been working for them a little bit. We learned that he's got a funky walk and his eyes are not normal even for vampires. And that, is that it? Did I get everything?
Sure.
Yeah, that sounds right.
That sounds about right.
Okay. So we all came back to the bar, kind of talked to O'Malley about what was going on. We're trying to determine a plan of attack. That plan of attack ended up being that we're going to do some research. So Lamont and Belle kind of tackle it from one perspective and Kara and Augustine from another. Lamont and Belle are going to basically talk to the bikers and try to get them to yield what information they can on the inner workings of the gang itself, about the hierarchy, about Edmund, and ways in which they can exploit that info later to either assimilate or pick out the best way to get in, etc., etc. So Kara's looking up occult stuff in the library. Velvet Death's upper floor is Aiden and Belle's penthouse, effectively, and they have a nice library, and she's doing research in there, specifically looking up about Edmund's weird eyes and his gait, whatever is supernatural about him that manifests in that manner. Lamont is bringing in the bikers to the bar as a promoter, and Belle is somewhat like using her wiles on them to convince them to talk, and Lamont's acting as sort of a hype man and to kind of condition them that it's okay to talk to her because he's got those amazing, what is it? Is it street smarts you have all those stats in?
Streetwise.
Streetwise. So they feel comfortable chatting with him because he's one of them. And so Augustine is filtering through some different organizations of vampires. Not the type of vampires, but the organizations that they form. So there's the Crones, there's Sanctum, Dracul, and we're trying to see what affiliations might be in play here. What, if this is a byproduct of one of their research projects, rituals, what have you. Of note, Belle does get a condition, because I failed a roll, the condition Wonton for a dreamy biker boy, because she fucked up and got attached to somebody she was interrogating, which is, I assume, going to cause us problems later. But that is where we are, and we're going to pick up, finishing off our rolls, what we find out, and moving from there. Finger guns.
So after the successes, we're going to pick back up with the day after the investigation, and everybody has been brought back in and is disseminating the information. Kara and Augustine, we're going to start with the two of y'all. As y'all start talking about the information that you found, Kara was delving into all of the different books on the occult within the house. And Augustine was going about using connections and spying to gain information on who might be utilizing voodoo arts. Augustine came across the circle of the Crone, being not an individual, but a group of vampires that are starting to dabble or have been dabbling in the voodoo arts. And Kara, you were able to come up with some very obscure information regarding a Loa named Kalfu, Kalfu, is a known demon that is often envisioned as a young man and controls access of the crossroads to other Loa, but is known for potential mind control or influencing powers through the use of voodoo dolls.
Okay.
And so that has given you another avenue of investigation, because one of the things that y'all would know is a lot of voodoo practitioners, while they recognize all of the different spirits, focus their attentions on specific ones that are going to benefit them in the way that they're looking for. Kind of like praying to specific deities for specific things. And so it starts to make sense that maybe if the Circle of Crones is wanting to, potentially make a power play, that utilizing powers from this Loa might be granting them that kind of information or that kind of power somehow. You're just not quite sure exactly how they would go about that. They would have to make a deal with this demon in order to gain that power, if that's what's happening. But y'all are able to put that information together to kind of gain a new avenue of investigation moving forward.
All right.
Um,
So the Circle of the Crone is probably using the Loa Kalfu to control people. Got it.
Yeah, Kalfu is the name of the Loa. Loa is Loa, and it essentially is just a type of supernatural spirit.
Essentially how it's
Yeah.
translated.
Yeah, it's just that culture's word for it, just kind of like how the Japanese have yakai and yokai.
And voodoo is very similar in the sense that they have good spirits and bad spirits. Very, very similar in that way.
Kind of like Daedra.
Daedra and the Aedra.
I was making a Skyrim
But I mean, like, Skyrim pulled it from that same similar vein of yin and yang. Cool. So that is what the two of y'all were able to determine. I thought I saved more information on that, but I'm a special kind of DM. So Lamont and Belethine, y'all get something a little bit more concrete, as that information of where this biker gang resides is a bit easier to come by than the more supernatural occult.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all were able to determine that they are based out of a butcher shop
Oh, good.
in one of the back alley neighborhoods of New Orleans, known for its homeless words are hard. Its homeless population and what's the term I'm looking for right now? Kind of deserted, abandoned.
Oh, I know what
Section.
word you're using. Dilapidated, maybe?
Dilapidated is kind of like it is. It is a very. It is not a overly used. It is a very dilapidated area where a lot of crime and homelessness ends up being. And so you know that they are based out of a butcher shop that goes by the name The Meat Hook.
Oh, gross.
It is located in one of the canal districts. You'll have two avenues of investigation right now. The Meat Hook is a more concrete, you kind of know where to go with this. Y'all don't really know where the Circle of the Crones is working out of, other than you hear whispers that they are working with these voodoo spirits, and you now have an idea of what spirit they might be working with.
Are there any other vampire hubs, kind of like Velvet Death is a vampire hub for a certain type of vampire, probably more Deva Ventru? Are there any hubs for people who are affiliated with Circle of the Crones? Not necessarily exclusively for those members, but maybe the Maquette are around there a lot because they're also kind of weird. And like, I don't know, maybe some Gangrel because they're kind of primal and feral.
So, Gangrel and the Circle of Crone don't really interact well with the other groups, and so they don't host these safe zones. I can't remember the term for them. Do you remember?
I know, like, a formal gathering of vampires is Elysium,
Yeah.
but that's not what this is. It's just like a hub, like where vampires
Right.
go to hang out. So like when we were watching Cry play Vampire the Masquerade, sometimes there were like clubs that were owned by vampires, or a bar, or like, I don't know, a strip club, and clearly it was a hub of vampires, even though it masqueraded as something else.
Mm-hmm.
And so if there's a certain type of weird spot, like even like a witch's shop, and it like puts on the appearance of just being a normal like curiosity store or whatever, but that's actually where people of this persuasion meet up, because vampires still socialize and stuff. Not that we have to like go to the Circle of the Crones hideout or anything, but somewhere where they might mingle, that we can either pick up some information, or maybe some people who know the Crones that we can talk to.
Yeah. So, not that you're necessarily aware of.
Okay.
It does not mean that they don't exist, but that kind of information isn't something that you can just Google and look up. You still
Right.
have to know somebody to get in. And if
Okay.
they're not working with the political group that you're a part of, then it's probably going to be even harder information because you're not running in the same circles.
Right.
So while, yes, there are probably shops and other places, the only ones you're aware of are of your political affiliation, which is Vindictus? No, that sounds
Invictus.
Invictus. Thank
Close.
Oh man. Yeah, the Invictus. So you could probably gather that information if that's something that you wanted to do, yeah. And that would probably be the next step if that was the path that y'all were going to go down.
Because I think it would be easiest to gather information about the voodoo before we tried to fuck with it. So because we don't know what we're going to be encountering when we actually like interact with Edmund. And so if we can do our voodoo research first, understand what we're dealing with, that might better equip us to confront him and deal with him. Does that sound reasonable?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, then discuss amongst yourselves how y'all want to proceed.
Where are we currently?
We're currently at Velvet Death, I assume.
Back at the Velvet Death.
Yeah, y'all are back in Velvet Death.
So I think if any of us have good connections, Belle does not have any, clearly. Like, that's not her associate of people. I don't know how we, like, examine the rumor mill or apply contacts. How does that work here?
So, in the sense of trying to find information on the Crones, that is going to be something that... What do you mean by apply contacts?
Like, for instance, I'm just going to use an example,
Yeah.
Anthony. If Anthony tends to know a person who's super into old witchy shit, who might do the same sort of things that the Crones do, but isn't necessarily a part of the Crones, but she knows people who are actually in the Crones, and so he can be like, oh, well, you know, can we just go pay this person to visit? Like, can I roll for if I know somebody like that? That kind of mechanic.
Okay. Yeah, so that's going to come down to... Let me grab my handy-dandy character sheet. It's got all the skills on it. You're going to use things like streetwise or socialize if you've got a subset of that group.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're probably going to have to either have merits with people that you know that you put points into, disciplines that are going to point you in that direction, or you just Google voodoo shops and just start, like,
Hanging out?
Until
Hanging
you
out.
find vampires.
yeah, like, that is going to be what... If you just decide to spend an investigation doing this, it's pretty much what you'll do, is we have no idea where to go, so let's just start hanging out at voodoo shops until something gets weird.
Kara has a talent for spotting things that are supernatural.
That's good. That's super handy here.
Oh man, now that she's aware of the supernatural, I need to make you use that more often just to freak you the fuck out.
Okay.
That's beautiful. Okay, I need to make a note of that. Hold up.
I feel like that's what being a... Correct me if I'm saying it wrong, Anthony, but like, what is this? A sleigh beggy from
Yeah. From
Ancient Magus Bride?
Mm-hmm.
So you see all the weird shit that's going on around you that most people aren't privy to? I'm so sad about that show. I wanted it to be good, but...
It was okay.
Well, I stopped watching it because
It got weird. Yeah.
the pedophilia was pretty bad.
No, it's real rough. It's real rough.
I'm going to grab another book. I'll be right back.
No worries.
Uh,
I wanted to be chill, but I just...
Yeah, right. It couldn't. So I guess as far as next steps go, if we're looking for a voodoo shop that might have the kinds of things, right? Those kinds of like spells and or resources that somebody from the Circle of Crone could use, right? Or maybe a Circle of Crone kind of like hideout, like you were mentioning. How do we roll? I'm sure Merlin can tell us, right? But like, should either Kara or I or both do some sort of like investigation check almost to like see what we can find? Is that the best option?
I think it's going to come down to our I did have the book, I'm sorry. It comes down to our particular accumulation of skill points. And so Kara has that ability to suss out the supernatural.
Eye for the straight.
Yes. So she's going to be able to, like, we're going to have to sit around in that store and look at things. I don't know if it's like D&D in the way that I'm like,
Yeah, right.
what's the percentile chance
Yeah.
that, bam, because that's how I want to address this.
Yeah,
Do you
same.
want a writing utensil?
Yeah.
What do you want? You want a pen? This is a pen.
pens are, but that'll work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It is a pen. It writes. So
Okay.
I think because we're kind of limited in the way that we can't normally we can't address it in the way that we normally would like to.
Yeah,
I
right.
think we have to, but this would be a good chance for Taylor
Yeah,
to use
so
that
you-
really cool ability.
Right, for sure. Yeah,
I
because
actually don't remember how it works exactly.
If that's in the Chronicles of Darkness book, I can look it
What are we
up.
looking at?
Yes.
because
I
we're
feel strange.
ultimately searching for a who right now, right? So with the information we have,
Right.
we have a general sense of like possible group affiliation with the Circle of Crone, a possible how or like a what with the
Mhm.
Lao, but we don't know who exactly, right? So that's what we're
Right.
searching for in this moment. Okay.
We're snooping for our next connecting.
Yeah, the
Like-
next connecting dot with everything we
Exactly.
have, right? We've got all the lines and the pictures, but we need like there's the question mark in the center.
Right.
Where is it? Yeah.
Because we want to get all the way to Edmund, but we've
But Edmund is probably just a puppet, so there's someone else.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
And it is kind of dangerous because we want to be able to figure out what he's capable of and what he is
Mhm.
before we start poking that bear,
Yeah.
just in case. Because if we end up fucking something up and then raining down more like bad shit on us, that's not in our favor.
Yeah.
Was there something that I needed to look up rule wise?
I wanted to look up Eye of the Strange for Taylor
Okay.
because we were going to make use of that ability, and so we thought it would be cool to check it out.
And that is a merit.
It is a merit. It is
Perfect.
a mental merit, I believe.
Then give me 1 second and I will look that up because this is actually named like normal things should be named.
That's the problem with the vampire book is there's so much of it that's
Flavored.
Weird.
just
Yeah.
there we go.
It's
It's
good.
flavored,
Yeah, it's
and
good,
it is
but
good,
it's flavored. Yeah.
but it's difficult to remember what's what.
Yeah, when you're just trying to mechanically go through and figure out what's happening rule wise and you look at the
Yeah.
index, I don't know what any of this shit means.
Yeah,
It's
right.
bad.
It's great if you're just reading front to back. It's the flavor.
Got it.
Yep. When your character does not necessarily possess a breadth of knowledge about the supernatural, she knows the otherworldly when she sees it. By pursuing evidence, she can determine whether something comes from natural or supernatural origins. Roll intelligence plus composure. With a success, the storyteller, me, must tell you if the scene has a supernatural cause and provide one piece of found information that confirms the answer. With an exceptional success, I must give you a bit of supernatural folklore that suggests what
Ooh.
type of creature caused the problem. If the problem was mundane, an exceptional success gives an ongoing +2 to all rolls to investigate the event due to a redoubled certainty that it is, in fact, natural.
Okay, so it basically sounds like what we're going to do is we're going to have to go from store to store, from like witchy hipster girl hunt to witchy hipster girl hunt, and like just like scan the area. And Merlin will probably like have a percentage of, you know, this place is a good place, this place is, there's nothing here. And then we'll just have to keep going
So I'll just-
until we figure it out.
Roll to check if it's actual magic.
Right.
That right there.
Instead of a Tumblr aesthetic.
What's
Yeah.
going to be fucking great is guess what happens in a world where magic exists and you start going to voodoo shops?
A lot of them are real.
A lot
Not
of them
all
are
of
real.
them are vampire
100
associated.
Oh, is there going to be a way that we can be like, this is this type of supernatural and we want this type of supernatural?
An exceptional success.
Oh, buddy. Can we help her
Otherwise-
at all?
Not with that. That is just her merit. However, like random offshoot, this if you like decided to make Kara for whatever reason a like antiquities specialist would make her super valuable. Being able to determine if an object is in fact real, magical, and supernatural. Just make a shitload of money.
That'd be really cool.
But to focus on the
Would
actual
Aiden think
game.
of that?
Ooh.
Aiden's like, look at my
Oh,
old
I'm-
shit. Look at it.
I'm making a note of that. Oh, I could just see Aiden like being proud of some like magic artifact that he's had stored. Kara just walks by and goes, "That's garbage."
He'd be so upset.
You start throwing it. No, I spent way too much money on this to be. Is it really? Fuck.
Poor thing.
We're making a trip. Everybody pack your things.
That'd be the coolest way to like roam like an underground black market or something.
Mhm.
Ah, that'd be fun. That'd be just like fluff RP, like run around and do cool shit for fun.
Like you just pass through a market and all of a sudden your senses go, oh, that amulet's actually real, and they have no fucking idea how cheap can we get it for.
That'd be really cool. That would. Oh no, because then you'll just put cursed items into the game.
100%. 100% curse everything.
I don't have to touch it to find out if it's.
But you could convince Aiden to buy it because he's dumb enough to just do it.
Wow, no, because he's gonna take
I don't
that
think-
home.
Kara's still afraid of Aiden. I don't think she's gonna push those buttons.
All right.
Okay.
So we just need to. I guess we'll have O'Malley or whoever's good with computers. The humans are good with computers. Have somebody just do a
I don't
quick.
know. I don't know if Lamont is.
Lamont is not good with computers.
Oh, excuse me. Kara's good with computers.
Kara's okay with computers. She is a normal-ass average human being.
That's
If it
fair.
is- If it's not directly associated with doing drugs or breaking into people's houses, Lamont's probably not that good at it.
That's fair. That's fair. So we'll just run a quick Google search of the stuff in the area. Thank you, modern game, and start like making our way downtown.
Walking fast.
I would like to suggest that not everyone has to do this.
Okay.
Kara needs a bodyguard, but everyone else can do something else.
Or we can hit. Oh well. What would we do other than that? Because I was gonna say we could split the party and like 2 people could go investigate and the other 2 people could go hit the other stores. We accomplish that faster. But the rest of us don't have your cool ability.
Is everyone else? Are you guys connected to any of the other Invictus in the area? Would they know?
Ooh. Invictus are rough because Invictus is like a country club. It's a bunch of old rich dudes, and they're like scoffing about so-and-so paying his maid this much money when she's only worth this much money. So Invictus is like, I doubt they'll know anything at all about the Crones. We can always try, but I also don't want to ruffle feathers even by asking. Like, Aiden might be able to because he's sort of eccentric and he's got a lot of influence. But, like, Belle herself only has 1 bubble's worth of status. And so that might cause more scrutiny than it's worth for her. But if she can convince Aiden, we can definitely try that end. I think only the 2 of them would be able to go, though. That's another
We couldn't show
problem.
up as like your thralls or something.
I mean, that's fair. They know our twas with ghoul.
What does that mean exactly?
Okay, so a ghoul is basically this nice middle ground between vampire and human. You have to keep it up. So once a month, to maintain ghoul status, you have to basically feed your ghoul. So Belle, that's her thrall effectively. So once a month she lets him drink from her, and so he actually takes on some of her vampire abilities. So he's kind of like a wee tiny baby Deva, and he has a bit of her, like, even like, what is it called again? Even a bit of her discipline. So he can kind of use awe, like the way that she would use it. It's kind of like a boiled down version, but he feels super fucking great. Like,
Cures disease, makes him live a
it
long time.
literally cures disease. And so, like, Merlin and I were like pontificating how you can con people into becoming your ghouls because it cures cancer.
Like, you get somebody
You're-
sick, you poison somebody that you want control over, and then you show up in their
Yeah.
hospital room and go, hey, buddy.
I can save you if.
Yeah, I feel like Aiden is absolutely the type to do that at some point. So, like, that's a vampire thing to do, is to hurt people and then come back over and be like, I'll save you, but I own you.
Well, and not even to hurt people, just like if somebody's been in a cancer ward for however many like months or even years, if you're like, I have a way out, but you're mine from then on. Because as soon as you stop taking the blood, basically the vitae, whatever it is, your illness comes back. So vitae also staves off aging. So since Artois has been her ghoul, he hasn't aged a day. So if you have been a ghoul for like 10 years, those years, as soon as you stop taking it, hit you in quick succession. Like, you don't just like pick up where you left off. You instantly age, just about.
Spooky.
I think it's like a year a minute or something like that, technically. But yeah, it's really powerful, but it definitely has its drawbacks. It's like the ultimate drug addiction. Well, there are some vampire ones that are a little higher if we want to be technical, but if you're a human, this is about as good as it gets. It's really strong. So we might be able to, I don't know if a vampire would be able to tell, yes, this is a ghoul, no, that's not a ghoul, just by like sense or smell or something.
Well, Augustine can.
Because he senses blood like a dog.
Yeah. Augustine could walk in and be like, somebody's fed here, and it wasn't against their will.
So our problem here is how many Maquette are in Invictus?
A number?
Because we don't want to risk, because that's how we might be able to trail Lamont in alongside. Or maybe if we just keep Lamont and Artois close enough together, it's not discernible, maybe?
Why are we using Artois?
Because if we're going to pass off Lamont, take him to Invictus with us as our ghoul, we would have to actually have a ghoul with us, Artois, to kind of throw that sensory off. So if they just like stay together the entire time, I doubt it's so pinpoint, unless you like go up and actively investigate, that you'd be like, that one right there from 50 feet away is not actually a thrall. Does that make sense? Am I making sense?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. But we still have to identify like a voodoo. Well, I guess would you guys be doing that separately while Kara is investigating those?
So you're going with Kara.
I'm going to go with Kara. Okay.
Would Kara even agree to that?
Yeah, that's a good question.
That is a good question.
I don't know.
That is like, because that's a valid concern. You may have to go as a group just to be comfortable.
Yeah, because I don't know if Belle's necessarily comfortable leaving her with.
Yeah,
that's what I was going to say. I don't think this is Kara's choice.
You don't think Emalynde trusts Augustine?
My dude, have you read my last RP post?
Yeah, I did.
I've tasted blood and it is sweet. I've had the rug pulled beneath.
You're so lucky that I rolled high on that, because I
great.
put it on a gradient and I was like,
Yeah.
well, there are two people that she could be mad at here. So I put Augustine on this end and Atticus on this end. And I was like, please, because I don't necessarily want a bunch of IC conflict. Not that it's a huge problem, but it's just tedium that we don't necessarily need. And so I was really grateful that she's pissed at Atticus instead of Augustine. But also, you were like, let's use the humans as bait. They don't really need their family members, right? And she's like,
Yeah, I don't know if Aiden would sign off on
That's
this
what I was
plan
going to say.
either.
I don't think this is Kara's choice.
Yeah, like, I think this is going to be one of those, Aiden's going to go, what?
we send O'Malley and Augustine and Kara.
So,
That's
alright.
just making you play a bunch of NPCs. I'm sorry.
No, like, yes, that, which isn't a big deal, but I'm going to posit something else, alright? So, you've got, at this point, you've got 3 characters in that group.
Yeah.
Kara, yeah?
Yeah.
Sweet, scared Kara with 2 vampires, of which one is an instigator. I want you to take a guess at who's the instigator. And the other one is an angry boy more willing to kill people than talk to them. So you take a murderer and an instigator and a scared human girl.
I think that's a great choice.
Y'all are gonna come back and they're all gonna be like covered in blood. Kara's gonna have taken like 5 breaking point mental strains and just like staring at the ground as like Augustine and O'Malley like high five of their victory of just like murdering off 20 or 30 different groups of humans.
But O'Malley's trustworthy.
He is trustworthy not to stab you in the back, yes, but he has anger issues that come down to his bloodline. Like, he is not the type of person you send on diplomatic investigations. He's the type of person you send into the middle of a biker bar when you want everybody there to know you mean business.
I still like the idea, though, of having. I think it's. I'm going to vote as far as next steps. I think it is more interesting to have O'Malley, Augustine, and Kara go in search of voodoo like stores to see what we can find, while Lamont and Belathine go to the Invictus to see
With Aiden.
to see if there's any information there, to do a quick split scene and do that. I think that is more narratively interesting to do that. I don't know if Aiden would agree, and that's kind of maybe we can play that out.
Yeah, that's going to be something like if that's what y'all
That's what my vote is for.
because you still have to make sure that the in character conversations would agree on this.
Right.
Because
You're right.
Kara is still a like autonomous individual in the sense that she can say no, I'm not going, or I'm uncomfortable if she would even say anything, or if she would just go along and like be terrified. So I guess we're going to move this now in character at the table. Let's see what happens.
So they're having quote unquote breakfast.
Yeah, you're having quote unquote breakfast.
So
And
it's like just after sunset.
Yeah, just after sunset. Artois cooked food for all of the humans.
Because he's a doll.
Is the club open today?
We had the 3 days.
No, we're taking back the 3 days. It is just the next day.
Okay, excuse
I
me.
was gonna say it's probably like open, but we're just before actual opening hours, right? A club is not going to be open at like sunset, right?
It's
Right.
only actually open on what was it?
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So probably a weekday. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, so it's probably a
Yeah.
weekday, and things are like Artois there because there are humans that need food. But other than that, it's a house at this point, a big ass house,
With a freaky wine wall.
a wine wall and a giant throne.
There are 2 wine walls, thank you. There's a bar on each side with all the little tables. I really need to just like draw it out so we've got a
You
good
should.
visual.
Mhm.
I'm gonna spend forever in The Sims doing that. Oh my god. 17 hours later. I'm the worst. Okay, so we're all seated. Artois has been a doll. What did he make?
Oh, I don't know. What's just like a easy breakfast? We'll go with like
Eggs Benedict.
Eggs Benedict. There you go. He's made everybody their personal Eggs Benedict, except for the vampires who don't really eat.
But I want Eggs Benedict.
That's just because you want them.
Eggs
you're
are
hungry.
gonna be delicious right now.
They're so good.
Mhm.
I think Eggs Benedict would make vampire Emma even sicker than real Emma.
Yeah.
As long as she pops, there's an ability called Blush of Life, which lets her actually eat. It lets her body function as it would when she's human, but she has to actively spend vitae to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
So she can
Is that-
eat it
is
and
that
keep it
worth-
down.
Is that worth
Um,
Eggs Benedict? Does it not taste
actually
like dust
doesn't.
to vampires?
It says, didn't it say that they can actually taste it?
Yeah.
It's not as good, but it's still like it doesn't make you immediately vomit like it normally
Yeah.
would.
It's essentially the idea of they're spending their magical blood powers to reactivate all of their organs.
Yeah.
So that they appear to be a functioning living person,
Yeah.
even though it's not really blood that's coursing through their veins, but it is activating all of those functions that the body would be doing.
Like they can actually pass a medical exam with Blush of Life on.
Yeah.
It's really kind of cool. Okay, everybody has Eggs Benedict. Belle wants Eggs Benedict because I want Eggs Benedict, and that's final.
Oh, okay. All right. So you have everybody has Eggs Benedict, even if they don't eat it.
Yeah.
So Aiden is sitting there. He doesn't have anything other than a glass of wine, and just kind of watching everybody. So, what have we found out? What's the plan of attack? What are we doing today?
How much of this do you want us to re-relay?
We could just we're just getting to the point where y'all have probably all talked it over, and now we're just getting into what is the plan in character instead of talking about it out of character.
Okay.
So boom, all of that's been relayed at the table. You all know where the different directions are, and now you
Okay.
have to decide on what you're actually doing.
Okay. Belle puts her silverware down. Unless you have inclinations otherwise, I thought it might be best for us to apply any influence that you might have with Invictus. We'll take Artois and Lamont in the stead of another ghoul and see what we can find out, whilst Augustine and O'Malley, she looks at O'Malley, including him, will accompany Kara as bodyguards and protectors. She looks over at Augustine. So that we might ferret out at least some individual who might have a connection with the Crones, or at least someone else who might possess a connection with the Crones.
So, you're saying that you're going to put Kara, who we're supposed to be watching, with the maquette and the gang girl.
Are you implying I can't watch someone, Aiden? I watch everyone very closely.
Oh, I'm quite sure you're going to watch everything that happens and relay it to me, but you probably will not stop anything from happening to her.
Well, I can't fault you there.
And so at this point, O'Malley, who is not at the table, is like, you're not going to be putting me with the creepy mind reader. That's not happening. I won't do it. He freaks me out.
I'm sure we could have some fun, O'Malley. Play cards.
I don't like that kind of fun.
Stories.
Don't make me do it, he pleads with Belathine.
Is he like legitimately, or is he just like
shook?
Oh,
Like,
he is
The
shook?
maquette make people uncomfortable, and the
They
gangrel
do
are
make people
very like.
uncomfortable.
What's the term I'm looking for? Go ahead, Taylor.
Can you actually read minds?
Is that in character or out of
That's
character?
in character, yeah.
To Augustine.
August.
I might be able to. Want to think of something right now?
Sure. I want to know if you can do this. That's really cool.
Well, let's do it.
You're
I'm
muted,
gonna- Can I
Steven.
roll? Can I roll to? Because I actually cannot read minds yet.
Oh
I'm just trying to play it up. Can I? Is there a way for me to roll to see if I could like bluff, or is that just going to be me bluffing? Actually,
Okay, yes.
or
So
attempting to?
here
Can I
is
try?
I'm pulling up your character sheet real
'Cause I
quick.
don't really have. Because I do have subterfuge, right?
no.
Right. Oh man, why does your character sheet always go empty? Okay.
My intent at this moment to, I don't know if it's necessary to roll this, but my intent is to, because I want to keep face and make those believe. So this is important to me, right? Which is why I want to put it to a roll. I want to keep face and make them believe that I can read minds, even if I can't at this moment. So by reading, so by using the subterfuge, and right something else, I want to try to misdirect the fact that I can't necessarily, right, without really saying anything, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you get an exceptional success on your subterfuge,
Okay.
I will allow you to make a vague enough but accurate enough guess of what she has that it might shake the room a little bit.
Okay.
But it's going to require 5 successes.
Oh boy. What if I have 5 rolls? So it would be subterfuge plus manipulation or composure, or would it be wits or intelligence?
Let's go with manipulation and subterfuge, because that's what this is right now.
So that
Is you are attempting to read the person well enough to guess vague enough in the right direction. And so what it'll do is, I don't think it will be an exact, like, she believes that you read
Sure.
minds, as much as
But
it's a,
enough.
she's not sure whether you actually can or not, can't prove it one way or the other.
Yeah, that's what I'm definitely trying to do.
Yeah.
Okay, and I can spend a vitae to get
A willpower.
a willpower to get +3 dice, right?
Correct.
I thought it was plus.
Is willpower
Is it
plus 1?
+1? Oh, it's
I could be
+1.
wrong.
Let me
I think
double
we
remember.
check.
double checked. That's already. I'm just at 5
But can you
dice.
use more than one on a roll?
No, you can only use 1 per roll.
Oh, but I only have 5 on this, so I'd have to get 5 successes total. I'd have to get all 5 of these are successes.
Let's see, where
Or get
is...
some exploding dice. You could get.
Or I could get exploding dice.
Yeah.
I have potential for that, which is true, but my chances are slim.
Yeah.
willpower 73.
I mean, like
You
it's
regain
possible.
willpower when you sleep, by the way, if you haven't.
I regained willpower
Yeah,
Okay,
you
good. Good.
Oh,
good.
yeah.
All right, yeah.
You
Willpower
regain
adds a
a point
3
for
dice
every die.
bonus.
at 3 dice bonus. Okay.
Yeah.
Would I have regained any willpower? Because I have
For
marked.
Yeah,
that I
each
have
full
left.
night's sleep that you get.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, do we want to count that? Oh, because I have 5 total willpower. Am I back up to 5 at this point? Because I used 3 last time, so I've used 3 total as far as like the
It's been a
marking.
few.
But it's
Yeah,
been
so
a few
we'll
days.
say like this session, like everybody's max willpower,
Okay.
Okay.
and then we will keep track of days and willpower moving forward a little bit more, like
Okay, sure, sure.
specifically. But I'm not too upset about it.
Okay. Then I'll definitely spend a willpower.
And then if you have a merit that will help,
Do I have a merit that will help? Not necessarily. No, not anything here. Because plausible deniability is not going to do me anything. Because that's all about breaking the law. Yeah, I'm just going to roll. So that's going to be 8d10.
Good luck.
Oh,
Fingers
boy.
crossed.
Fuck me. Oh no.
You got
Rolled
one success. I'm sorry.
Augustine doesn't say anything after saying, and just takes a sip of his wine and
Oh,
just kind
okay.
of looks away. If he could blush, he would be blushing.
Oh no.
Just silently looks away from Kara,
Aww.
and that still just keep silent for a bit.
just that ego popped.
Yeah,
Like a balloon.
it's
The
okay.
human called him out real fucking hard.
She was just curious.
It's okay. It's okay. Oh, there's my neighbor with her boa.
With her what?
Oh, she has a big boa constrictor that she takes
Oh,
out.
I heard
hunting.
bow, and I was like, "You about to get shot?"
Oh, God. No, she just takes her bow out on walks when it's nice and sunny, so we can get some.
Boas still scare me more than bows, so
Are you afraid of snakes?
a whole lot of nope rope.
No. Aw. Boas are not that bad.
They are constrictors that will kill you.
Well, like you can get like a ball python, and they're like,
Still strangle you to death in your sleep.
they're little.
Much like cats.
I mean,
Just
that's
sit
fair.
on your
If
face.
Jazzy sits on anybody's face, they're done for. Look at that big boy. I don't think you can see him. But there's
in
an
the corner.
Esleys. Even Esleys could smother somebody. She's a chunky girl.
She is a chunky girl. So,
After a moment of awkward silence,
after a moment of awkward silence,
Aw.
you hear O'Malley, "I'm still not comfortable around him." Gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Well, I can't let you go to Invictus. You're not allowed. No pets and all that.
He looks at her. "What did you just call me? Did you call me a pet?"
She kind of flicks her wrist dismissively. Dog, whatever. Wolf. Wolfhound. Is that your preference?
"I will not be talked to like this." And he storms off out the front door.
Aw, is he for realsies, man?
Yes, you just called him a pet and a dog.
But
and
they
a wolf.
do this all the time back and forth. He calls her
Yeah, and he-
some vulgar sexual-based pejorative, and she calls him a dog.
Yeah, he's stomping off this time.
But
Most
he's
of you
already
probably-
upset because you tried to make him go somewhere with Augustine.
Aw.
And Maquette, like, it is known that they make people uncomfortable.
Yeah, they do. That's fair.
That is just part of. Now it's still like you can still convince him, but
Belthine gets up, slides from the table, pushes her chair back in, and follows. She gives Aiden a knowing look before she does so. It's a gentle, like, don't worry about it, I'll handle it kind of expression.
Kara's just eating her eggs Benedict.
Because it's so good. It's got
So-
crab on it. It's lump crab instead of the
Shredded.
Canadian bacon. And there's pan-fried asparagus on the side.
Sounds great.
Is that what you want right now?
I still haven't eaten today, and I've been up since 6, and it's
Okay.
2:30. I'm gonna moan about it.
Aiden, what can I do to make you feel comfortable with me going with your war?
Aiden thinks about that. Well, I suppose if everybody's going, I'm quite comfortable with you being around the ward. But Augustine, don't think me so daft that I don't see you playing around in the shadows.
Oh, I didn't doubt it. I don't doubt that you also keep an eye, a watchful eye, Aiden. Are you sure there's nothing I can do to make you feel as if O'Malley and I will take good care of her? That I will not damage your pup?
I see
Excuse
there's
me?
a problem. It is not that I am worried about Kara's safety as much as, how do we put this? You instigate, and O'Malley does not have much willpower. He would essentially become your tool of destruction as you roam through the city, and I don't know if I can trust you not to play with that fire.
There's nothing I can do to make you believe me that I won't do that this time for you, Aiden.
This time.
I'm not quite sure there's anything to be done about it. The two of you would be too volatile. And
You
poor
don't
Kara,
You don't believe me that I can temper myself, Aiden?
100% I do not.
Aw.
Nothing I can do. No
When you look at
favors.
O'Malley, what do you think?
Hmm. The honest answer, Aiden?
The honest answer.
I see a tool.
And he just kind of raises his hand. Exactly, because that's what he's good for. And you have to know how to use the tool properly.
What if I decide not to use the tool?
I don't think you would.
Why don't we just
Can't
all
make you
go
believe-
together?
But
I
want to
like
be
the way that
alone
she
with
thinks.
you, Kara. Alone with you and O'Malley. Is what
And that is another reason I will not allow it to happen. You want that too bad.
I'm glad Belle's not here for this bullshit.
Can we take a break? Gustav needs to pee.
Yes.
Oh,
we can-
I heard the goblin. Bless you.
Thank you.
Gustav heard the word pee and went, "That's the one!"
Oh man.